Hi guys, and welcome to my presentation on Energy Balance and Fat Loss 101, what you really need to know. Okay, now I've made this fairly simple. I'm basically just going to go through some very straightforward concepts that if you can get your head around, you'll be well on your way to achieving any weight loss or fat loss goals. It's really simple. Okay, let's get started. Okay, the first thing you need to understand is the basics of energy balance. So energy balance is the relationship between energy intake and energy output. So what you've probably heard before is calories in versus calories out. Okay, really simple. Calories in, how much food and drink you're consuming throughout the day. Calories out is just simply your activity levels. Do you go to the gym? Do you walk to work? All this kind of stuff that is actually going to burn calories. How does it work? It's a continuous process. Energy balance, it is what it is. It's basically a balance. I'm going to go through a few little scales that should hopefully help you understand what actually happens. So when we look at this scale here, so this is a neutral energy balance. So if you think of this as maintenance, so if the food that you're eating at a maintenance level. So if you want to stay the same weight as what you are, this is roughly going to be what your scale is going to look like. So your intake on the left and your output on the right, perfectly balanced. Okay, so let's say your energy intake, for example, is 2,000 calories. So you're eating 2,000 calories on a daily basis and you're burning 2,000 calories on a daily basis. This scale is going to be perfectly balanced. Okay, so this is neutral. If you did this, you'd stay at the same weight. How does that relate to weight loss? Okay, let's have a look at this one. So, for weight loss, most people are going to diet. Okay, it's the first thing that people go to. So, what you do in your diet, you reduce your calories. So, you eat less, you drink less. Just by doing that, so just by reducing your calories, regardless of what you do with your activity levels, that scale is going to just tip to the right a little bit. If you then increase your activity, so if you exercise more and generally just move more throughout the day, it's going to be more in your favor. It's going to help that little bit more. So you can see just by increasing, your activity levels, that scale is going to tip down a little bit. Reduce your calories at the same time, it's going to drop even more. Now, what I will say at this point is you don't need to increase your activity levels necessarily to lose weight. You can do it purely by dieting, and a lot of people do have great success on that. But like I said, if you do reduce your calories, so you do go on a diet, if you increase your activity levels at the same time, you're just going to burn a few more calories. You're going to lose the weight quicker. It's that straightforward. So we're not going to talk about weight gain, but for weight gain, it's the exact opposite. Your intake will go up, so you're going to eat more, you're going to drink more, and that in turn is likely going to lead to a reduction in activity. So you're probably going to exercise less, and you'll probably move less. And the more weight you put on, the bigger that reduction in activity is more than likely going to be. Okay, so it's just the exact opposite of weight loss. Instead of being in a negative energy balance, you're going to be in a positive energy balance. But like I said, for weight loss, you want that negative energy balance. So the principle of weight loss, how do you actually go about it? You need to be put into an energy deficit. Okay, so as we spoke about on that scale already, excuse me, without being in an energy deficit, you're never going to lose weight. It just won't happen. There's no magic formula for your macros, no amount of protein, no amount of carbs, not going on some crazy high fat, low carb diet. It won't make the slightest bit of difference if you're not in that energy deficit. This is the key thing. This is one of the main things that you need to get your head around. You have to get into that energy deficit. How do you go about putting yourself in an energy deficit? You basically need to find a strategy, an intervention, a diet that you can stick to. So something that you can adhere to. if you can't stick to it, you basically you just got to keep yo-yoing. You'll go on a diet, and it might be a really restrictive diet. If you go on a 1,000 calorie diet, the chances of you sticking to it are going to be fairly slim. Whereas if you go into a 500 calorie deficit, you might find it a little bit easier to maintain, and if you'll stick to it, you'll adhere to it, and this is the key thing. So as much as what energy deficit and being in an energy deficit is the most important thing when it comes to dieting and weight loss or fat loss, you've got to be able to stick to it. You need to be able to adhere to it. So in the little grey text here, you can see, be prepared to adapt and evolve the chosen method over time. Alongside improving your diet, look at something as simple as increasing your activity levels throughout the day. So if you eat really healthily already, it might just be a case of, you just need to increase your activity during the day a little bit, and then that'll tip that scale in your favour. So creating an energy deficit. So how do you go about creating this energy deficit throughout the week? 500 calories is something that gets kind of bandied around, and it's kind of like the start point for people who want to go into a diet, and you reduce your calories by 500 calories per day, and it's seen as this kind of magical formula. It's just a basic kind of way to start off. The reason why that's come about is if you go into a 500 calorie deficit every day of the week, so for 7 days of the week, Mondays to Sunday, if you add that up, so 500 times 7, you get 3,500 calories. So that would be your deficit for the end of the week. Now, roughly, and this is why it gets bandied about a little bit, that 3,500 calories is very roughly estimated to equate to 1 pound of weight loss or fat loss. Okay, so if at the end of 7 days and you've been in a deficit every single day for 500 calories and you're in that 3,500 calorie deficit at the end of the week, you've roughly burned about a pound of fat. You've lost a pound of weight. It's not quite as straightforward as that, and it can vary from person to person, but that is kind of where that comes from, and it's a good place to start. So what does this look like during a week? Okay, here we go. We're going to do some little graphs here just to kind of drill this in. So let's say you have 2,000 calories. If you remember back to that first slide, 2,000 calories is your maintenance. If you remember the scale, evenly balanced. So if you ate 2,000 calories every single day, your weight would stay the same, but we want to lose weight. So we're going to drop down to 500 calories every single day across the week, and you can see here, Monday all the way through to Sunday, 500 calorie deficit. At the end of the week, we're at a 3,500 calorie deficit. Nice smiley face because we've lost a pound of fat. We've lost a pound of weight. What are the chances of you maintaining that all throughout the week, that 500 calorie deficit? It's got to be fairly slim. You've got to be having nights out. You might go out on a Friday night or a Saturday night. You might be going out for a meal. You might be going out for a few drinks. You might have a big business meeting during the week. So the chances of you hitting this perfect 500 calorie deficit every single day is going to be minimal, to say the least. This is going to fluctuate, and when we spoke about this on the energy balance, it's going to teeter up and down a little bit. So let's look at this one. So, the key to this is being in this energy deficit is to plan ahead. Okay, so if we reduce our calories just a little bit Monday to Friday, where it's a little bit easier to maintain, you're allowing for that extra amount of calories at the weekend. You're allowing for that little night out, that couple of drinks, the meal out, and again on Sunday you might eat a little bit more on Sunday being out and about, but you're allowing for it. So even though you've dropped those calories a little bit more Monday to Friday and you've gone over your maintenance level on Saturday and you're very close to it on Sunday, you're still in that 3,500 calorie deficit at the end of the week. So you've still burnt a pound of fat, or you've still lost a pound of weight, so you've still got a smiley face, which is exactly what we want to see. It can go wrong. Okay, so if we look at this graph here, let's say Monday to Thursday you're eating really well, you're sticking to your 500 calorie deficit, but Friday, last minute, you get invited out with a few friends, go to the pub, you have a few drinks, and lo and behold, you've gone over your maintenance calories, you've gone 500 over, and you already know that you're going out on Saturday night for a meal, but you've not catered for it. Again, it's a last minute thing. You go for a meal, you have a few drinks, that turns into a full-blown night out. You stroll in at 4 o'clock, you've had a kebab on the way home. Lo and behold, you've gone way over your maintenance calories. You've got a hangover to hell on Sunday. You go and eat a little bit more junky type food that you wouldn't necessarily eat, and lo and behold, end of the week, you've got a 0 calorie deficit. So that Monday to Thursday where you ate really, really well, it got blown out the water by just overeating on, or over drinking, it could be, on Friday and Saturday. And then because you felt terrible on Sunday, you ate, stuff that you wouldn't normally eat just to make yourself feel better. So we've got this little sad face because you've got a 0 calorie deficit, just mainly because you just didn't plan. You didn't plan ahead, okay? So you just got to bear it in mind. It is going to fluctuate. You don't need to be a saint every single day. You just got to cater it in. So, if one day you do go over you might go over your maintenance calories a little bit. You've got the rest of the week. You can always just drop your calories a little bit more throughout the rest of the week. And it's the end of the week that is the main thing. Don't worry so much day to day. Think of that figure at the end of the week. So you can fairly comfortably lose a pound of weight in a week, a pound or two, just by dieting alone. So just bear that in mind. You don't have to be a saint every single day. It is going to fluctuate a little bit, but it's that end of the week goal that you want to try and hit as often as possible. So, adherence. So again, we spoke about this at the beginning. And I want you to just have a little think. I want you to pause me for a couple of minutes. I want you to think about what factors do you think are important for adherence? So what is going to help you stick to a diet? Okay, I just want you to just pause me for a couple of minutes, have a little think, write stuff down, and we'll come back in a couple of minutes. Okay, I bet you didn't pause me. In fact, I'd put money on that you didn't pause me, so we're going to go through this anyway. Hopefully, if you did, you might have a few of these written down, but we'll just go through them. So, factors that are important for adherence. First one, results. Fairly simple, this one. If you're getting results from your diet, the chances are you're going to stick to it. You really are going to stick to it. If you see that number dropping down on the scale, or, your clothes are feeling a lot looser, you're getting these results, you are going to stick to it. Motivational, another good one. Again, and you can link this into results. If you're getting results, you're going to be more motivated to keep going. And this is the key thing. Easy to maintain. Again, all these are interlinking. So, like I said at the beginning, if you go into a really crazy, 1,000 calorie deficit, what are the chances of you actually keeping that up? It's really tough. If you drop down to 500 and you can go, in a less calorie deficit than that, you might want to go to 300. It needs to be easy to maintain. Fits in with your lifestyle. So if you remember back to the graph, where we didn't plan for these nights out and you ended up with a 0 calorie deficit at the end of the week, this is where this comes in. You just need to plan it around your lifestyle. So minimizes hunger and discomfort. Again, so if we go back to what I just said for easy to maintain, if you put yourself in a 1,000 calorie deficit, you are going to be starving. It's not a nice place to be. If you go to a 300 to 500 calorie deficit, as much as what the weight loss might take a little bit longer, you're minimizing those hungers, you minimize those cravings a little bit. Enjoyable. You could argue, is any diet enjoyable? If you put yourself in a 1,000 calorie deficit, as we've spoken about, that really isn't going to be enjoyable at all. I personally would not want to be in a 1,000 calorie deficit. I'd be so grumpy. But on the flip side of that, if you put yourself into a deficit that you're getting results from and it's really easy to maintain, you're going to enjoy it, because you've got to enjoy the results that you're getting. You're going to enjoy the comments that you're going to get from people. Social support. Again, this is a good one. So, with the group, which, I'm trying to. I want this group to be a supportive group. Ask questions. We're all going to be able to relate to each other. If you've got friends and family and weight loss as your goal, or fat loss as your goal, get them to support you. Tell them what you're trying to do. They will help. They will help pull you away from the cakes if you're on a nice day out. You need that little bit of support. It's very difficult to do it all by yourself, so you do need that little bit of a backup. And personal preferences. So again, this is the final one. I'm a big kind of advocate of allowing yourself little treats, or not really treats, that's probably not the right word, but allowing yourself, choices of food that you enjoy eating. I still eat, biscuits, I still eat crisps, ice cream, all these really nice, not overly healthy foods, but it fits in within my diet. It's catered for within my calories, so I can still go into a calorie deficit and allow myself to eat these foods that I like. And and again, it's a really good one for adherence and for sticking to something. Instead of being really restrictive and taking out all these foods that you like, obviously you don't want to eat loads and loads of junk food, but just allowing yourself little things, it will help you stick to it. So basically, all diets work. Every single diet you can possibly think of works because they stick to a few basic guidelines. It doesn't matter what the diet is, whether it's Weight Watchers, Slimming World, paleo, there's a lot of crazy diets out there, but they all work because they put you in an energy deficit. Again, very, very important point, they put you in that energy deficit. And most diets, they have that support group that we already spoke about. They help you adhere to it. And, if you can control your cravings and you can stick to something, a diet will work 100% of the time. But you've got to stick to it and you've got to be in that energy deficit. Okay, so how can we fight the instinctive force that compels us to eat too much? Again, I just want to have a little think about this. Just take a couple of minutes. You can pause me again if you want. Think about, what do you do? What strategies can you put in place that stops you gorging? What strategies can you put in place, that stops you buying all the junk food? What can you actually do to help fight that instinctive force? Just have a little think. Okay, I bet you didn't pause me again. I'd put money on it. Okay, so this is this little paragraph. I'm just going to read this out. This is basically a paragraph from a book called The Hungry Brain by Stephen Guyenet. Now, Stephen Guyenet is a obesity researcher, very, very well respected, very clever, very bright researcher. I highly recommend this book. It's an amazing book, some really good tips in there. And I'm just going to read this little paragraph out. So, how can we fight the instinctive force that compels us to eat too much? We may have a hard time fighting our non-conscious urges to eat tasty, calorie-rich foods when they're right in front of us, but with a little bit of advanced planning we can prevail without having to exert too much of our limited willpower. The key is to control food cues in your personal environment. Ultimately, a little bit of planning can go a long way. So basically what this is saying, just plan ahead. So if you're starving and you're going shopping, the chances are you're going to go and buy some junk food. It's a kind of a habit, a natural thing that's going to happen. You're going to walk down that aisle with all those sweet cravings that you might have, and the chances are, next thing you know, you've got a basket full of chocolate, you've got a basket full of sweets, you've got loads of tasty cakes that you wouldn't normally buy. So just try and plan it. If you know you're going when you're hungry, try and avoid those aisles that have all those lovely, nice little rich foods that you like. Don't walk down the aisle and you're probably not going to buy it. So just plan ahead. Think about how supermarkets are laid out. A good tip is to not always go to the same supermarket. So if you shop at Sainsbury's all the time, go to a Morrison's. If you go to Tesco's all the time, go to a Sainsbury's, go to an Asda. Just keep chopping and changing which supermarkets you go to, because they all they all have a slightly different layout. You're not going to know your way around different supermarkets as much. Think about how supermarkets are laid out. They're very, very clever. What's at the end of the till? It's all the sweets. All the cans of Coke. All the really high sugary foods that you probably want to avoid if you're on a diet. They're right at the till. Think about it. Easter. Where do they put all the Easter eggs? Right in front of all the tills. So even if you don't want to eat chocolate and you're not a big fan of chocolate, you see all these special offers on, you're probably going to grab it because it's right near the till. So they're very, very clever. So you just got to, like this says, just plan ahead. Your willpower is limited for most people. Most people have a really limited willpower. I'm absolutely no different. You just got to plan ahead. It really is that simple. So in summary, what do you really need to know about energy balance and fat loss? The basics of energy balance, so remember that scale. You need to understand that energy balance is a dynamic, ever-evolving process. So again, it's not going to be the same from day to day. That scale that we had at the beginning, it's always going to teeter up and down. You need to know how to create that energy deficit. And again, if you don't create that deficit, if you're never in an energy deficit, you are never going to lose weight, ever. You just won't. It doesn't matter how much protein you're having, how perfect that percentage of macros is. The only way you're ever going to lose weight is to be in an energy deficit. So you have to understand that scale, the energy balance, and you need to know how to put yourself in an energy deficit. But most importantly of all, you need to find a diet, a strategy, or an intervention that you can adhere to. Adherence is the key to success. So you need to find a diet, a way of working, a strategy, something that works for you. Okay, and if you can stick to it and you're in an energy deficit, you will lose weight. It really is as simple as that. It comes down to very, very basics: energy balance, deficit, and adherence. Stick to those and you will lose weight. Okay, so that's it. So I think I've gone on for probably about 20 minutes, I would guess. Probably warbled on a little bit too much, as per usual. Those are my details, so if you do need to contact me, feel free to drop me an email, send me a message on Facebook or Twitter, put a comment in the group. Yeah, so I'm going to do a few more of these, and hopefully this has helped a little bit. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you soon.